Hello and welcome to this Monday edition of the World Report, viewers. I'm Arjun Samad Mahindran. Let's take a look at what's making headlines this Monday. At least 5 people were killed after gunmen attacked Pakistan's paramilitary force headquarters in Peshawar this morning. Now, the defense complex, viewers, the very headquarters of the Frontier Constabulary paramilitary force, was also hit by 2 suicide bombers. According to reports, the first suicide bomber carried out the attack on the main entrance of the paramilitary force HQ, while the other one entered the compound. The headquarters, by the way, of the force is located in a crowded area, which is also close to a military cantonment in the city. My colleague Vishal Vivek joins us for the latest on the story. Vishal, what's the latest you're picking up? We believe at least 5 people have been confirmed dead in this latest attack.
Yes, Arjun. And as far as the latest reports are concerned, we've heard that the gunfire is still going on. It's been about 3 hours since the attack happened. 2 suicide bombers attacked this complex, this headquarters of this, paramilitary forces in Pakistan. This is not a, usual police station that has been attacked. This is the epicenter of security installation in Pakistan, and this was attacked. So there were 2 suicide bombers. One managed to get inside the complex, and the other one detonated the bomb right outside the complex. And simultaneously, there was a gunfire in which at least 3 to 4 people have died. And of course, both the suicide bombers have died. So the death toll stands at around 5 or 6 at the moment, but we'll have confirmation in the next coming hours. But some reports do suggest that the TTP could be involved in this attack, and we have seen in the recent past that TTP has been, wreaking havoc in the valley, in the North Waziristan region, and also the northwestern province of the Pakistan region. So these are some of the most volatile regions in Pakistan at the moment, and TTP seems to be quite active. Pakistan has been trying to clamp down on them for years now. They have not been able to do so. So what happens now, how Pakistan responds, that remains to be seen.
Of course, and Vishal, this only comes at the back of the 2024 World Terrorism Index, where we all know that Pakistan has been ranked number 2. And the TTP, in fact, is the terror group in the world that has grown exponentially, in fact, more than any other terror group on this planet. Thank you so much for putting all of these developments into perspective for our viewers there. Meanwhile, viewers, top US and Ukraine officials stated on Sunday that they were making progress towards ending the Ukraine-Russia war. Now, this comes following the American proposed peace plan. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, meanwhile, has described this first session as most productive and meaningful meeting. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump blasted Ukraine online for a lack of gratitude for US assistance. Not only this, Trump has set Thursday as a deadline for Ukraine to finally respond to the peace plan. Here's more.
We arrived here today with one goal, and the goal was to take, is 28 points or 26 points, depending on which version as it continued to evolve, and try to narrow the ones that were open items. And we have achieved that today in a very substantial way. Now, obviously, like any final agreement, they'll have to be agreed upon by the presidents, and there are a couple issues that we need to continue to work on. But I think the report today is that I think today was worthwhile. It was very, very. It is probably the most productive day we have had on this issue, maybe in the entirety of our engagement, but certainly in a very long time.
We shift our focus to South Africa, where PM Modi underscored the urgent need for a united global front against terrorism as he joined the India, Brazil, South Africa, or the IBSA leaders meeting on the sidelines of the recently concluded G20 summit in capital Johannesburg. Now, PM Modi called for swift collective action for the global good and also reaffirmed India's zero-tolerance stance, viewers, towards terrorism, stressing once again that the world must indeed reject all double standards in such grave issues. On the other hand, India and Italy have also announced a joint initiative focused on combating terror financing. This follows PM Modi's discussions with Italian counterpart Giorgia Meloni, during which both leaders explored ways to even deepen cooperation across sectors, including trade, defense, security, and others. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday met with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Canadian PM Mark Carney on the sidelines of the recently concluded G20 summit in Johannesburg. Viewers, PM Modi announced that the new Australia-Canada-India technology and innovation partnership on social media X platforms, as you see right there on your screens. Now, this partnership is set to deepen ties between the three democracies in technology, clean energy, artificial intelligence, and of course, a diversification of supply chain, which in fact remains a key issue. Enter Trump tariffs. Now, the deal is also set to focus on green energy innovation and critical minerals as well. We shift our focus to Eurasia, where Russia said on Sunday that its forces had captured 3 more settlements from Ukraine, while Ukraine on the same day reported 162 battles in the front lines. The Russian Defense Ministry said in its latest report that over the past 24 hours, the Russian forces struck Ukrainian targets in 148 areas, close to 150 areas, and took control of 3 settlements, namely Petrovsky in the Donetsk region and Orta Doine in Dnipropetrovsk region. Russian forces launched a drone attack on Sunday, killing 4 people in Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv. Meanwhile, 12 others were injured, including 2 children aged 11 and 12 years respectively. 15 strikes, meanwhile, were recorded in 6 areas of the city in northeastern Ukraine. Meanwhile, viewers, survivors in the Ukrainian city of Bucha, where hundreds were killed in 2022 by Russian strikes, perceived the proposed US peace plan as a sort of disillusionment. That's correct. The mass killings were uncovered when Russian forces withdrew from the area after a failed attempt to seize Kyiv during the full-scale invasion back in 2022. Listen in.
Це треба мати компетенцію і що можна очікувати від сторін. Якщо в мене немає даних, я не можу відповісти на це питання. Але як з Донецької області, ми вже змирилися з усім, або я хотіла б, щоб більше не вмирали люди. Вмирали українці, вмирали хлопці, діти. Ось це. Я вже змирилася з тим, що я дуже сумую, і я думаю, всі, хто виїхав з нашого містечка, всі ридають. Всі хочуть додому, всі просто. Але ми вже змирилися, аби щоб все страждали люди.
Over in the Middle East, the Israeli military has killed a senior member of the militant group Hezbollah in an airstrike in capital Beirut. Now, viewers, the strike marks the first on the outskirts of the Lebanese capital in months together, targeting Iran-backed Hezbollah's acting chief of staff, Ali TabAtabai. Hezbollah has confirmed the death and also added that Israel has crossed a red line. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has stated that under his power, Israel would not allow Hezbollah to rebuild its own power. Now, the strikes also killed 5 people and injured 28 more. The attack comes despite a US-brokered ceasefire. Meanwhile, here's Netanyahu for you.
אני מצפה מממשלת לבנון לממש את ההתחייבות שלה לפרק את חיזבאללה מנשקו, כי רק כך יתאפשר לכל אזרח בלבנון עתיד טוב יותר, ורק כך תוכל להתקיים שכנות טובה, בטוחה, בין ישראל ללבנון.
SpaceX successfully sent 28 Starlink satellites on Sunday into orbit during a nighttime launch from a California base. Now, the Falcon 9 booster carrying these satellites, viewers, was initiated from the Vandenberg Space Force base. Now, following stage separation, the first stage landed on SpaceX, of course, I Still Love You drone ship. The primary objective of the mission was to launch the satellites into the low Earth orbit. 50 of more than 300 students kidnapped from a Catholic school in Nigeria last week have managed to escape and have in fact been reunited with their parents. However, another 253 of the kidnapped children and 12 staff members are still missing. Recent kidnappings have also prompted school closures in northern Nigeria. Meanwhile, the president, Bola Tinubu, has ordered the hiring of 30,000 more police officers to search for these kidnapped students. Here's more.
Between Friday and Saturday up until early hours of today, Sunday. 50 of these children, they escaped. This was, we count it as a sigh of relief for us because the number has reduced. And out of the 303 children, we have 12 staff, which makes the total number to 315. So we have 50 of these children back to their parents if reunited with their parents. Currently, the school is shut down.
We stay with the story where Pope Leo XIV has in fact called for release of all children and staff kidnapped this week in Nigeria. 6 Catholic priests from Bamenda and a Baptist pastor was also kidnapped last week in Cameroon. Now, the school kidnapping, viewers, in Niger state happened 4 days after 25 school children were seized in similar circumstances in neighboring Maga town.
Ho appreso con immensa tristezza le notizie dei rapimenti di sacerdoti, fedeli, studenti nella Nigeria e nel Camerun. Sento forte il dolore soprattutto per i tanti ragazzi e ragazze sequestrati e per le loro famiglie angosciate. Rivolgo un accorato appello affinché vengano subito liberati gli ostaggi ed esorto le autorità competenti a prendere decisioni adeguate e tempestive per assicurarne il rilascio. Preghiamo per questi nostri fratelli e sorelle e perché sempre e ovunque le chiese e le scuole restino luoghi di sicurezza e di speranza.
A whopping 53.43% Slovenians voted against a law that proposed legalizing assisted dying for terminally ill adults. The parliament has passed the law in July, but a citizens' initiative led by a right-wing politician forced a referendum. 46.57% of those who participated in this referendum had voted in support of the law. Over in Peru, police were seen outside the Mexican embassy in capital Lima after a Peruvian court ordered the arrest and 5-month preventive detention of former Prime Minister Betsy Chavez, who has in fact sought asylum at the Mexican embassy. Chavez served as Prime Minister in the government of ousted and jailed former Peruvian President Pedro Castillo. Authorities, meanwhile, have accused Chavez of allegedly participating in a 2022 failed attempt by Castillo to declare a state of emergency and dissolve Peru's parliament. This as legislators were preparing an impeachment vote against him. The Peruvian Attorney General's office, meanwhile, has accused Chavez of being an accomplice in the crime of rebellion against the powers of the state. Not only this, it is seeking a sentence of up to 25 years in prison. More than 11,000 people have been affected by floods caused by torrential rain in Malaysia. However, no deaths have been reported. The northeastern state of Kelantan, which borders Thailand, has in fact been the worst hit, with 8,228 people affected. Meanwhile, 60 temporary shelters have opened in the affected states to house those who have been displaced by the deluge. A record amount of torrential rain has caused severe flash floods over the weekend in southern Thailand. A whopping figure of nearly 2 million people have been affected by these floods. Rainfall in Hat Yai, a major economic hub in Songkhla province, was the highest in 300 years, or 3 centuries, reaching 335 millimeters. Although 0 casualties have been reported so far, evacuation efforts have been reported to be difficult due to the rising water level. Over in the US, viewers, rumors about the marriage of US Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance circulated this week after photos of the Second Lady attending a public event without her wedding ring have surfaced on social media. Now, on Wednesday, the 39-year-old joined First Lady Melania Trump for a visit to Camp Lejeune. It's a major military installation in North Carolina, for those who don't know. Now, following the appearance, images published from the outing showed Usha Vance without her ring, a detail that quickly fueled online chatter about the couple's relationship. Thousands of people filled the streets of Santiago to watch the end-of-year parade of giant inflatables inspired by characters from television, film and popular culture such as Harry Potter, Hello Kitty and El Chavo del Ocho. Now this year the parade featured 13 balloons: Hello Kitty, Kuromi, Ralph, Paw Patrol, Harry Potter, Bugs Bunny, El Chavo del Ocho, Bluey, Sonic, Batman, Peppa Pig, the Powerpuff Girls, you name it. Now the 10-meter tall structure of the Harry Potter balloon in particular was lifted into the air with ropes and guided by a team of 40 people and also captured the attention of many attendees. Meanwhile, the parade began at midday and covered approximately 3 kilometers, running from Salvador Avenue to La Moneda in front of the very presidential palace with a magical show full of color and excitement. Rio's Pride Parade celebrated 30 years of history on Sunday as thousands of participants walked on Copacabana's boardwalk. A massive rainbow flag was unfurled by the participants along the beachfront, while sound trucks carried this year's message. The Pride comes a day after the arrest of former President Jair Bolsonaro, who was chastised for being openly homophobic. But it's time we slip into a short break now, viewers. Much more lined up on the other side. Needless to say, don't you go anywhere. Welcome back, viewers. You're watching the Monday edition of the World Report. We take you to the biggest updates from the world of business and tech, where Meta shut down internal research into the mental health effects of Facebook. This comes after finding casual evidence that its very own products have harmed users' mental health, according to unredacted filings in a lawsuit by US school districts against Meta and other social media platforms as well. In a 2020 research project named Project Mercury, Meta scientists in fact worked with survey firm Nielsen to gauge the effect of deactivating Facebook, according to Meta documents obtained via discovery. Now, to the company's disappointment, people who stopped using Facebook for a week reported lower feelings of depression, anxiety, loneliness, and even social comparison, internal documents have revealed. A federal employees union on Sunday asked a federal judge to order the Trump administration to fund the top U.S. consumer watchdog. This comes weeks after the agency said its cash could in fact run out by this year's end. In a court filing, lawyers for the National Treasury Employees Union and other plaintiffs disputed officials' claims that they cannot legally fund the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has sought to dismantle the CFPB since he took office in January and has installed Russell Watt, his budget director, as the acting head of the agency. While Watt's efforts to fire the vast majority of its employees is tied up in litigation, he has successfully shut down most of CFPB's activities. In India have created history and done it in some style. In Colombo, the Indian women's blind cricket team has lifted the inaugural Women's T20 World Cup for the blind, beating Nepal by 7 wickets in a commanding performance that has in fact capped off an unbeaten campaign. After winning the toss and choosing to field, India were disciplined from ball 1, restricting Nepal to 114 for 5 in 20 overs. And the chase, well, it was pure dominance. Team India mowed down the target in just 12.1 overs with a massive 47 balls still left to spare. Now, the star of the final was Kula Sharir, sensational with the bat, an unbeaten 44 of 27, 4 boundaries and nerves of steel as she steered Team India home. Now, viewers, this win comes barely 3 weeks after India's visually able women's team beat South Africa in Navi Mumbai. 2 landmark triumphs that underline the very rising power and depth, in fact, of women's cricket in the country, across formats, across abilities, and across generations.